Hey everyone, this is Coach K coming to you live on Facebook. And we are starting a new coaching session curriculum called Coaching, Evoking Excellence in Others by James Flaherty, or Flaherty. Flaherty. We're going to have fun with that, right? Today I decided to do on and off lives and some pre-recording because I cannot always get on here and do lives. Sometimes it's easier for me to do pre-recordings, but my goal is to get on here sometimes because some of you guys I feel like need to see me on with my lives, whether it's audio or face to face. I think it gives you an opportunity to feel my energy through my voice and catch up with me and the struggle and challenges and obstacles that I've been faced with in regards to planting seeds and reaping the harvest. So we're going to have these conversations in these coaching sessions, and when I do the readings, the lectures. And the reason why I've done this is because I realized that it's easy to give things away than to charge or to collect funding. So I've been just saturating the universe with gifts, with the skills and talents that's been given to me by my ancestors, my creator, my salvation. And a lot of times it's easier for me to just give it away because I get things done much better, much faster when I'm gifting people instead of trying to receive funding or receive benefits from something. So it's definitely war zones in this generation. We have to stand and do all the things we can to stand, fight the good fight, practice good technique. I always says on my posts, in my blogs, in my articles, in my published books. I'm a big believer of athleticism. I spent over 20 years as an athlete. It's been a blessing to my body because it's programmed my mind, my heart, and my organs. And so it has gotten me through bad times when my body has gone through struggles and challenges. It goes back or defaults to my athleticism days. So I'm very thankful for that. So with that said, when you're good to your body's good to you. Don't get me wrong. There's some, backlashes to being an athlete. I have certain problems from the wear and tear, from, repetition and competition. But overall, my body has been solid. It has been a blessing to me. But with that said, in life, I believe in athleticism. I believe in the process of getting up in the morning, working on your craft or crafts, and mastering them to a level where they're refined enough to use them on an expert level so that you can have higher accuracy, higher performances, higher productivity, and a higher response system. Because we live in a society that has challenged us to the highest level of our character. And therefore, we have to be twice as better, twice as faster, twice as accurate. And the reason why people get very upset with this type of conversation, because people want generations and vulnerable populations to not grow out of their case system. They want them to be there because without those case systems, you cannot have the world system. You cannot have some people with power and some people without power. And so when we choose to be numb, I'm not going to be a part of the system. We all have to be conquerors of the system. We have to overcome the system. We have to beat the system. What I mean by beat the system, it means game over. You have to learn the system to master it, to then turn around and do the decision making of the system, which is put it out of business, expire it, dismantle it, or to continue it on and never break the cycles of it. So we have to, as a people, make these hard decisions no matter what social location we're in, no matter what capitalism, socialization system we're part of. We as a people. When I say we as a people, I'm saying identification. Who do you identify with? Why do you identify with them or with whom? So when you say poverty-stricken communities, which I work in poverty-stricken communities to raise up nation builders, to raise up people to go into partnerships, to raise up not as organizing, because when you organize only, you give people the right to dismantle you, to come in and break you up. But when you become a paradigm shift, then you are working in the spirit and people can't break you apart. You are in unison, whether you're in presence or you're not in presence. And that's the power of being a paradigm shift, because it can move forward with you or without you. When Martin Luther King Jr., I have a lot of respect for him, because when he passed away, among a lot of great leaders like Malcolm X, their work could continue on in spirit, because they were teachers, they were coaches, they were mentors, they were educators. They knew that they had to teach every single person how to be self-sustainable, how to be self-government, how to be high performers, how to be mastery to its highest level, like black belt in martial arts, like PhD in college. They knew that each person could not be left behind in order to make an impact in social change. They knew this. And so when we develop that consciousness, we understand the importance and priority of not just unity, not just organizing, not just protesting, not just coming together, but to practice lifestyle choices to make us decision makers on the court or off the court. We become a paradigm shift. That is what I have been coaching for the last 14 years, 12, if you use it as a public opinion. I've been publicizing this for 12 years, but I've been working on these theories for 14 years and now ongoing. When I see these organizations with these policies and these procedures that are very, very abuse of power, very abusive, dysfunctional, defective, very immoral, very mortal, very finite, very destructive behavior. And there are authorities, there are leaders, those are our policymakers. It reminds me how human we all are. That not all of us have the discipline, the self-awareness, or the self-values, or the overall values, to value humanity, humanitarian love, and respect, and dignity, and goodwill. It shows me how people say low vibrations to high vibrations. It shows how shortcomings we have as a people, how underdeveloped we are. When I see people with these type of traits and tendencies and characters, yes, I might be sarcastic and try to keep it light and laugh about it, because pain and suffering brings down the morale. But in truth, it shows me how many people are really underdeveloped when it comes to virtue, when it comes to values, and how deceived they really are. The reason why I say deceived is because I just watched a clip and I posted on my Facebook, okay, from TikTok, the CPS snatching children out of the people's homes. You know, we can see the trail of sex trafficking, slavery. We can still see all the traits that never left, from the policing, from the slave catching, from the CPS, adoption, all the way to breeding black children as workers, as slaves, being not the decision maker of the household, from lynching, from having court systems and getting killed in the streets, from poverty, from being in outhouse, from the in-house slavery, being a field slave from the house slave. It's still a system that has not transformed, but evolved slavery. At the end of the day, it still has elements of destructive behavior that is 90% to 10. And that's why we have high mortality rates. We're not going to bring down mortality rates until we stop practicing destructive behavior on the highest level. That's authorities and leaderships and policymakers in systematic infrastructures. This is why we are living in a destructive world. Okay? I don't care how rich, how powerful, and how glorified it is. It still will produce high mortality because the infrastructure is defective. It is inaccurate. It's not correct. It's not mathematically sound, and it's insanity. They should never have said blind leading the blind. They should have said insanity leading insanity. Unhealthiness leading unhealthiness. Unfit leading unfitness. These are the more correct modern terms for this generation. People say, well, I do good. I do good to others. I give food. But the giving of food, teaching to fish in a system that is destructive is like giving someone food and then pushing them off the cliff. You cannot excuse your behavior because it's a job. You cannot excuse your behavior because you have to pay bills so that you can have a family or a future. You cannot excuse your behavior and go home and think you're not going to go crazy and you're not going to go insane. Our bodies was not created to be performing dysfunctional, destructive, immoral. What I mean by immoral, we're not talking about any type of simple personal issues. We're talking about infrastructure issues, systematic issues, which means hurting people violently, stripping their children out of their homes for nothing at all. Because of a policy, creating mandatory laws for vaccinations that have not been approved or mathematically sound. These are social responsibilities that we have to do in order to be a fit, healthy, and resilient world with low mortality rates. There is no excuse for globalists or the elite to still believe in population control by elimination. Because if they had any basic math, they would know that deviation and Elimination can only create extinction to themselves, which is dysfunctional insanity against your own self. And though you think you're doing it to others, you're doing it to yourself, because elimination, the practice of elimination, deviation, creates destruction and self-destruction. That's why we have high mortality rates, and that's why every single founder and creator of any theory of elimination has been terminated. Because you are one in the same of the things you choose to destroy. It is a one in the same as the theory of all for one and one for all. So you created a society based on elimination. You and self will be eliminated. It's part of the yin-yang formation. This is the reason why we have to step over from finite to infinite calculations, mathematics, equality mathematics from inequality mathematics, to bring down mortality rates. To increase immortality rates will increase multiplication, which is not the theory of elimination or competition. It is the right to be here forever and then adjust to the environment. That is how it's always been in the cosmic world. It has never been putting people out based on conduct. It's always been about building, growing, maturing, correcting, adjusting, and then transformation. There is the right for reconciliation. This is the process we're trying to do, what most people call higher vibrations, the changing over from high mortality to low mortality. Meaning high mortality to high immortality, right? You are not here to get a paycheck, to just feed for your children and your household. Stop using that in an excuse to do destructive behavior to other communities. I've seen so many videos, so many news clippings of these groups of people that get paid and excuse themselves to do destructive conduct because they have been legalized to do it. You have to make a hard decision to walk away or to make a decision as a decision maker and say, this is not appropriate behavior. I am not going to apply for these type of occupations because it is destructive behavior. And then it can shift. You're afraid of losing money because it's no money in that industry, because you're not in the industry that builds wealth in right standing against the world. What does that mean? It means if enough people pull out of the destructive behavior, then the world of fitness and health and sound of mind and mathematical correct equality can thrive, because they have more members of it to build its economy system. We have to shift. If I see more people getting to social work, medical work, and they're becoming excused to be destructive, you're going to increase high mortality. And it will include you. You're not exempt from high mortality rates. You're either the problem or you're the solution. You're not the solution if people are dying around you. You're not the solution if there's poverty around you. You're not the solution if there's war around you. You're not the solution if people are getting sick. You're not the solution. You know when you're the solution is when people get healthy around you, when people walk away from destructive behavior. You know you're the solution when people put down their weapons and yield to healthy practices, accurate practice. We're talking about math here. We're not talking about nothing abstract. We don't have to be abstract anymore. We live in a society now that we can do math on everything. You don't need science anymore. You don't need religion anymore. You don't need math. You need math. I mean, you can see the numbers. This is no rocket science. And then if it is rocket science, you need to do your homework. This here is very, very upsetting. When I see babies stripped from black people's arms and their healthy parents that's doing exactly what any other culture does with their families, but they get their children stripped and used in the system because the system is hungry and thirsty for children so they can raise as what people they can use. It's wrong, and they can't use other populations because it's their families. You're being excused so that you can do this work. You're destructive. You're not excused. It's going to come towards your life. You know why? Because destructive behavior from the hands of the destroyer can only destroy themselves because they practice poor technique, reckless, careless technique. And this is why it's important to practice good technique, because you could produce good harvests, good outcomes, good results, and it can be a boomerang effect for you and your families. Until we figure that out, this is what we're going to witness for all eternity. It will grieve your soul forever. Unless you do something and stop being the problem. If people are dying in your circle, then that means you're the problem. Every single person. Because you can transform that environment from darkness into light, from rags to riches. You can do it through the power that is living in you. Your talents, your skills, your drive, your will. There is so much more in you, but you excuse your destructive behavior to excuse yourself from the responsibility to do what your body was created to do purposefully. We were not created to be destructive beings. We are not bombs. We did not get created to destroy the work of God. That's crazy. That's insanity. Why would a creator create his children to destroy himself? That's called insanity. Creators usually create children, have children to help them, to build them in their time of need, if they ever need. They're an asset to their community. When you think of parents, they don't have children so their children can turn around and destroy them. That is not why they were created for. Even if they do it, that is not the purpose of why they were born. A lot of people was not asked to be born, but they were born. The same thing. These bodies we're living in is not created to destroy the work of God. And if you think it is, you're wrong. And that's why you're having so much torture and torment and mental anguish. Because you know all the money in the world is not going to silence the pain and suffering that your body is going through from doing the things it's not supposed to be doing. The body itself was created to be a what? Helper, helpmate with its creator. And if you got it doing destructive things towards its creator, it's going to cry like a baby and mourn and then set itself against you. You're just a guest in the body. You came into this body. You are a guest in this vehicle that was created by God to do certain things with it. And we have been destructive with it by hurting people in the name and the sake of money, of a job, of paying bills, and not wanting to live in poverty. Poverty is a state of mind. If you was poor and you practice good technique, your environment should look like paradise. It should look like healthiness, fitness, wellness. It should not look like devastation, brokenness, and damage. That's called neglect and abuse of power. We are decision makers equal to those that are being destructive. We have allowed ourselves to excuse ourselves out of the game, out of life. We have made decisions to pacify, to deny ourselves the right to make decisions. You do not go and pick jobs or stay in jobs that have you to violate people's right to live healthy lives of their choosing. We know racism is wrong. It is inaccurate. It's not mathematically sound. We know this because when it's done to the people that has not been done to, they cry, anguish, and cuss people out saying you're being racist. You know why they're saying that? Whether it's good, bad, or ugly, they're saying it because they don't want it done to them. That's how we know it's not correct and not mathematically sound. It's insanity. They don't want it done to themselves, but they are okay with it being done to other people. That is called destructive and self-destructive behavior. If you're okay with people getting their children snatched because you paying your bills, that's destructive behavior. People that quit their job when they are asked to do something that's destructive, preserve themselves and their lineage and their communities against high mortality rates. Because this destructive behavior corrupts good morals, good morale, good energy. All these officers and all of these politicians, you are corrupting and destroying your energy. And this is why we have so much blockage in our bodies, in our health. This is why our immune system is destroyed. Because we're breaking our energy. We're not protecting our energy in our decision making. This is why we have to do a paradigm shift. You can do this decision making by the jobs you choose to pay your bills, by the decisions you make when people force you to make a decision. You can say nope. But see, this is the problem. We don't want the consequences of a no. We don't want the consequences of a no. We rather have a slow death than a fast death. That's the problem. It's still a death. We rather have a slow death than a fast death. Like a fast death is not a good death, but a slow death is okay. When you make destructive decisions every single day, you're okay with that because it gives you a chance to live the next day. That's what happened in slavery. We had a lot of people value life enough that a slow death was better than a fast death. so that we could bring in children, and then children was put into the system, and then they worked their lives. As long as they had a life that was more valuable to them, valued as in inherited wealth, was life. Inherited wealth for slaves was the opportunity to live. That's why slow death was worthy. That is the decision that was made instead of doing the things to preserve their energy in slavery. When they were slaves, they could kill, steal, and destroy. They could have, to the death, every single one of them. Even the children could have been killed, steal, and destroyed. It could have been a easy extinction to the world. Easy extinction. But they valued life. That was the inheritance. That was wealth for slavery, was life. They wanted to give their children the greatest inheritance of what they could give them. And that was life. They wasn't calculating they were giving them a life as a slave. They were saying that life was valuable. It was inheritance of the God, of their faith. Life was valuable, more valuable than slavery. The ones that allowed their children to be born. You know, people have done it in so many years in cults. I've seen many cults that drank poison and killed thousands and thousands of people. Brainwash cults, whatever you want to call it, they did it. Removed themselves completely out of societies. Dead bodies everywhere. People have ways of saying enough is enough. We don't have to be that type of strategy. There's infinite equations and formulas, and we just need to choose one. We could choose many, but we just need one good one. One good one. That is not destructive behavior. That's not insanity. And it's definitely not incorrect, inaccurate. And we will set ourselves on infinite processes, equality mathematics, and immortality. We just need one good strategy. What? Mustard seed of faith moves mountains? One good strategy that can produce a good harvest against all harvest. You know, when I look at videos and I see the destruction, I still know that the immortality in us is greater than the destructive behavior that's being rampaging in this life, in this generation. I know greater is he that lives in you. Is still greater than all the destructive behavior that's being performed on this planet right now. One person, greater is he that lives in you, is greater than all of this together. You're the only one that's going to know how to tap into that. Greater is he. And to manifest that greater is he. We could just get one greater is he to manifest in this day and age. The whole planet of destructiveness will be still. When Christ said, peace, be still, the whole ocean was still. It don't take much. It don't take much. Unfortunately, we don't even have that one mustard seed. We don't have that one greater is he activated. Because if we did, all this darkness that we see, destructive behavior, would have fled. It would have fled. It's like Dawn. Have you saw the commercial of Dawn? One drop of Dawn and the dirt just dissipates, whatever you call it. Just, I don't know where it goes chemically, right? It frustrates me to the highest level of emotional intelligence when I see that my life is entangled in so much destructive behavior. It's like, what can one person do to set the life right on immortality and infinity? There's so much that needs to be done. But what can, I cannot imagine how Martin Luther King Jr. felt. Like, what in the world? I can't imagine what Malcolm X felt like. What in the world? Harriet Tubman, what in the world? All these great thinkers with such faith, with so much peril and torment and torture, that their minds was vexed. Hearts was vexed. So much little destructive entities. Like, golly. Hordes of it. Legions of it. And here you are, just one little bit. And question is, can you say peace? Be still. Well, I'm rooting for you. I'm cheering you all on. I'm cheering us on. Greater is He that lives in you. May we see it in our generation. I'm very excited to see if we pull this thing off together. It's got to come to an end because we know how it ends. We know destruction don't win. We know that's not the fate of the world. We know this. We cheated, went to the end of the book. We know this will pass. This too shall pass. So we know that this is just a chapter in the last days of its glory days. So we know somebody's going to raise up. We know many people's going to raise up. We know a kingdom's going to raise up. We know a civilization's going to raise up. We know that the greater is He is going to manifest and activate and set the earth correctly on its path for all eternity. Earth does not get terminated. Earth is not going to be used for hellfire. Earth is not going to transform into a punishing corpse. We know that's not the fate of the world. So we know that this here is for an expiration date. We know this is coming to an end. So, what side of the fence are you going to be playing on? What game are you going to be playing on? The side that's going to be on infinity, or the side that's going to be on finite, destructive behavior? The side on incorruptibility, or the side on corruptibility? That's all it is about, because we know who gets the future, right? Forever. So it's just a matter of just seeing whose side plays on what. And it looks to me, a lot of y'all have picked the side of corruptibility because you think you're going to be excused because you had to pay bills. Like all these hate crimes, talking about Nazi, hail Nazi. That was obvious. They just don't know no better. They chose corruptibility, whether they know better or they don't know better. It doesn't matter. They still on the side that's passing away. Ignorance, it says, those that perish is because they're ignorant. We can't help to change that. We try, we talk, their face is blue. They don't see it. They don't got the muscles. I don't know what to say. It's gone. But the ones that do, you get the little twinkling in the back of your head, like, this is messing with me. This is effing with me. you're gonna feel it the most. You are going to feel it the most. So you're going to go home with the night terrors. You're the one that's going to be tossing back and forth. You're the one that's not going to be able to enjoy your wealth. You're the one that's going to be at your job watching this and grieving in your soul and don't understand why your soul is grieving. You're the one that is going to self-destruct because you know you was not meant to do this life the way you're doing it. That's what it's called. You better adjust. You better adapt and learn good technique and get on the accurate side, the incorruptibility side, because you know you're designed to do better. We all are, right? Well, I'm going to go ahead and dig into this book, just get a little something before I head on out, because that was very important to me, because the fact is, if I watch another video of this unjust world, it shows me how many people are being used to be commenters, commonality. You're not doing your homework. You're being used. You're just another soul that's getting tossed off the cliff. It's not cool. It's not a good look. We can make decisions. Poor, rich, working class, it don't matter. You got the greatest inheritance on this planet, and that's life. Every little decision you make matters. Whether you pray, you meditate, you move the water with your mind, you are given life. Use it well. Don't be the problem. Be the solution. Don't be the unhealthy one. Don't be the corrupted one. Don't be the finite one. Don't be the one that's just literally being self-destroyed. Because in my eyes, that's what it is. I don't see you destroying other people. I see you destroying yourself, because other people's going to get redeemed because it wasn't their fault. You destroyed them. You're the one that's going to be accountable for all those actions. All those days you went to your job and excused yourself and watched all those little children get ripped out of their homes, you is equally accountable for that decision because you supported it. Quiet or not, you support it. A lot of people was like, why didn't you take that contract? Why you didn't take that contract? Because it corrupted my mortality. It corrupted my immortality. I didn't want to be a part of that community. I don't care how rich, how famous, how excellent, how amazing they were. If I thought they were going to have me witness or use anything that would take my spirit, because there takes a lot before I get turned over. But if I felt it, then that was too much for my future self to feel it. I was like, then no. Like I said, it takes a lot before I turn over. But if I felt it in my soul that was going to influence me or impact me or change me, I moved on. Like, I'm not going to be part of this. That's my way of saying no go. I'm destroying the work of destruction by saying nope. I'm not going to be part of this community. I'm not going to be part of this as a witness. I'm not going to be a part of it. If I think I'm solid, I might go ahead and think I could work from within. I might try to dismantle it from within. But if I knew it was out of my pay grade, I'm like, nope. No, thank you. Let that ship sink by itself. It don't need me as an extra person on it. And I'm not talking about poverty-stricken communities. I am not talking about people unhealthy, meaning mental health or stuff like that, physical unhealthiness. I'm talking about decision making. Making decisions to violate, hurt, harm people. Intentionally, maliciously. That is what I'm talking about. I don't care if you say for sake of job or not. It's still malicious. And it's intentional because you get paid for it. Unpaid or paid. For the thrill or for the money. No excuse. All right now. I don't like to come like this. I like bringing joyful times and celebrating and honoring our celebration. I don't like always getting in the coach voice, because this here is making my heart bleed to see. See, you got me burping because all this toxicity. This is what I'm trying to say. You can see slavery in the spirit. You can still see it. It is still dirty water around here. It is still dirty air around here. Nothing's getting cleaned. And people say it's getting better. Yeah, it's getting better to be hidden. It's going more underground, but it's still there. I used to publish books about us having multimedia accountability, learning how to make, people with weak decision making for incorruptible lives by filming them, by recording them. But now it's just getting to be some type of thriller horror show that making them gloat, making them feel all powerful, all knowing, to be able to kill, steal, and destroy, and having the right and privilege to do so. Like it's giving them the right tools to do it more. So it's backfiring because you know why? That's what it does. It's consuming. It's consuming the tools. It's using the tools against you. Against us. So we gotta, upgrade. We always gotta keep upgrading. If the dirt gets dirtier, you gotta upgrade your cleaning supplies. That's how it's always been. Same thing. You gotta upgrade. Once the potency increases, you can't use the potency that you used before. You gotta up the potency. So now, reporting and video, I'm not saying stop doing it. You gotta do that and more. That's what I'm saying. You don't stop cleaning a bathroom because poop is nasty. You keep cleaning it and you add more tools to the circle. Okay? That's what we got to do. I don't use analogies of military campaigns anymore because too many people like to use that word militant. I use cleaning house. Okay? I'm a cleaner. I clean. Okay? So, you need more potency to clean. You got a dirty house. You got a dirty society. You got a dirty community. You got some dirt to clean. You need to use your cleaning supplies and increase its potency. That means protest. So protest. But increase the potency. You see the campaigns, they're asking for money, they're gaining momentum. You got to do that more. They work 24/7, you got to work 24/7 plus. You got to master time better than they master time. You got to feed your family better than the way they feed their family. It's always got to be done better. More deeper, more fluent, more accurate, more consistent, more relentless. It's not about competition. It's about potency. Cleaning house and keeping it clean. Sustainability. It's talking about immortality. Keeping the position to make sure there's a guardian, a good stewardship in the world. One decision at a time. Don't get overwhelmed. You got to be able to go back and forth on this continuum spectrum from big to small, big to small. You can't be afraid to go up and down the ladder. Well, make the common things you do extraordinary well. George Washington Carver. Shoot, I think even Jordan. A lot of people said it. Got to do the basics and didn't do it well. Got to go back and forth to the end game, to the start game, to the right now game. And you got to do it well. So where am I on this? So we're on the preface because we did the pre. So we're going to keep on moving forward. I'm going to try to do one page like I did with the Martin Luther King Jr. Strength to Love. Probably what's at the core of working with people as a manager, teacher, coach, or parent is our basic understanding of people. Do we believe that human beings are attempting above all else to avoid pain and seek pleasure? Have we concluded that everyone is trying to get ahead himself, regardless of what happens to others? Do we think that people are biocomputers that have been programmed by life circumstances and have very limited possibilities for change? Do we imagine that people are small particles in a vast, unstoppable mechanism of historical forces that leave the individual as helpless as a cork in the ocean? Or do we have the opposite view that the individual is the captain of his fate, one who can fully determine what happens, bend circumstances to his will, overcome all circumstantial obstacles until we can reveal to ourselves what we understand human beings to be? We cannot coach them. Without this understanding, it's as if we are attempting to build a structure with materials that we aren't familiar with. We don't know what will bear weight. We don't know what will be water resistant. We can't tell what might be insulting. Probably no intelligent person would go ahead with such a project unless forced by circumstances. But many of us go ahead and work with people without coming to grips with this fundamental question. In fact, many authors and experts do not address the topic at all and work inside with an assumed theory that is never revealed. Perhaps this is because there doesn't seem to be a need to talk about it. After all, we've gotten this far in management theory and education theory without such discussions. Why bring it up now? The reason is because of the most pragmatic conclusion possible. What we're doing is not working. There is no need here to cite statistical evidence for this assertion. What is probably more interesting is people's response to it. We tend to do more of what we've already done in the past rather than to rethink what we're doing. Without this new thinking, all we can do is continue to repeat the actions we've already taken, which will, of course, lead to the same outcomes that we already have. Repackaging the same actions in a program called coaching is just another version of the same mistake, as is trying to shorten the amount of time taken to perform the same actions. This book then is meant to ask some fundamental questions, and as such, it will not be an easy to apply collection of tips and techniques. It's more like showing people how to design a building of strong foundations than like teaching them how to apply spackle to the cracks in the wall as they appear. The difficulty with fundamental questioning is that it's uncomfortable and takes time, and consequently, many people don't do it. Reading this book is a chance to take some time and rethink the way you work with people. So, my whole thing the next year in reading this book is evoking excellence in others, coaching. The word evoking, some people say it sounds like forcing others, but it's not a force. It's the word is very assertive or active based, not passive based. If I change the word, it would just be more passive, more pacifying. And the word I would use is reconciling. how to reconcile unreconcilable differences, how to learn how to, you already know, if you have a belief like this, you already know that the body responds to God. That means it was created by God. At the end of the day, no matter how bad the driver is, the body yields to the work of God because it was created by God. So it will not disobey God. The spirit that lives in it disobeys God. But the body, the vehicle, will not. So if you learn the body, the muscles, it includes the mind, the muscles includes the heart, the gut, the body, at the end of the day, it will yield to the command of God. Now, the navigator, the driver of the body, can disobey. But at the end of the day, the body will go against the driver. Eventually, if it doesn't yield and surrender to the sovereignty of its creator. See, people think the body is going to disobey. It's programmed not to. It's like have a kill chip. To disobey God, it won't work. Right? I mean, I watch, this new show I'm watching that is called, I forgot the name of it. Kita. It's called Nikita. And it's talking about this government agency that is secret societies and blah, 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 because it did it in Scandal. But it had a kill chip. They put a kill chip in the body, so when it disobeyed its command, it could not work. It disconnected the person in life. Well, the same thing. It's all the message is the same. The creator created the body, the vehicle you're driving in. So don't lose your privilege because there's a kill chip in it. So if you disobey God, it's going to not work. You get it's kind of like a leash, right? You get enough room to kill, steal, and destroy, and then after a while, you end your days, right? You get an appointed day, appointed time, and then you get to live that appointed day and appointed time, the best of your ability, and then you move on to the next chapter, to the next vehicle. Unless your appointed time and day is forever in that vehicle, right? Or estate. They call it the first estate, right? For those that are Christians, they call it the first estate. This body is your first estate. Those that believe in reincarnation, of course, this is not the first estate if you're reincarnated, 1,000 bodies, 1,000 vehicles, okay? But for those that claim this to be the first estate and the only estate are the ones that knows that the body they live in has been chosen to live forever. That's a different ball game. That's a different mindset, right? True or not true, it's still a mindset, right? So if you're a coach, the technique is first you got to figure out your mindset, your theories, right? Your principles, your philosophy. You got to figure that out. Because when you're a coach, you got to direct and guide and evoke or reconcile, people from their destructive ways to their construction. That's a responsibility. Just like the educators have to teach construction. And they have to show the difference of construction to destruction so that the person can know good from evil, right? Not right from wrong, but accuracy from inaccuracy. We're going to talk about math. We're not talking about truth. We're going to leave truth alone because we don't want to talk about fact and fiction. We're talking about math, numbers, equations, formulas. 1 + 1 is 2. When you take away something, you subtract it, right? We see that in social math. We see that in economical math. We can see that in relationship math. We can see that in habitual math, right? Habits, conduct math. However you want, you can put math at the end of the word because you can see the 1+1, the repetitions, the quality of the repetitions, the lack of repetitions, right? That's math. Up or down, forward or back, increase or decrease, right? So when you talk about coaching and evoking excellence from someone that is choosing to be destructive based on they want money and power and prestige all the way to slavery, enslavement, imprisonment, and captivities and generational cycles, right? Or environmental injustice, or civil injustice, or criminal injustice, whatever the case may be, you still got to have a structure to work in. And one of the basics is, what are you working with? What is the construction of the identity? What are you working with? When you see that person, what do you see? Do you see particles? See, for me as a coach, I have my structure. My structure, my model is I see a vehicle, the body, and it's separate from the driver. Okay? The vehicle is the body. And the person that created that vehicle, the engineer, is not on this planet. It's not man-made. It's alien. If you want to say alien, I don't care. It's not from this world, right? It's created by the hands of infinity, by cosmic living source, however you want to title it, by Yahweh, Jireh, Ra. You are not human grown. You're alien grown, meaning you are not created by human, man-made. You came in this world through human means, meaning your mom and dad, but you was not created by the human science of who this body is by your mom and dad. It was here before your mom and dad. It was here before all of our ancestors. It was created before we knew it was created. That is called ingenuity by an unknown hand. We know, but we don't know, right? We know we didn't create it. Because if we did, we wouldn't die. We would know how to use this thing, right? But we don't know how to use it. So, like a vehicle, if you don't put the oil in the car, you're not going to have that vehicle long. You don't keep up with the maintenance of that car, you ain't going to have it long. There's things you need to do to keep up the vehicle. And if it's infinite, to keep yourself connected to its infinity, you have to do the things to do it, to keep it up. You do. You're the driver. Same thing. That's how I see it when I'm a coach. That's why I say ride all the time. You are the one that got to know this. You got to do your homework. Study to show yourself approved by God. You got to be approved to keep this vehicle. If you're not, you don't get to keep the vehicle. You don't get to keep the house. Reincarnation is your friend. I guess that's why people believe in reincarnation, because they don't want to value this house. And a lot of people say, well, what somebody kill you? This house here is supposed to be immensely great. Nothing can stop it from the love of God. Nothing can separate it. So if something happens, then you're moving on. That house was not going to be an infinite house for you. It wasn't in your cards. Because maybe you didn't talk to God enough. Maybe there's so many variables called equations that you didn't do to lose that first estate, right? Or to move on to another estate. Because a lot of souls get new estates, not reincarnated, just get a new estate. They're not going back into the world as a new baby. There's some of us that just got a new body, whole new body. That has nothing to do with humanity. Right? And then there's some of us that kept the body that we were in. And they was crucified. And they still got the body. That same body that they got crucified in, they still got it for all eternity. So there is so many type of species in this cosmic world. Creation. We don't call them species. Creation. So where do we go from here? If you're a coach and you want to evoke excellence, because if you, I hate to say this, but if you're a vulnerable population and your inheritance is life, and that's your wealth, you want to be a coach, because everybody want what you have. They want your body to use it as a work to get things done. They want a worker bee. So you got to make decisions on higher levels, because everybody wants a piece of you. If you're a vulnerable population, you got predators. They're going to want to do things with that body that you may not want them to do to it, or your children's bodies. This is part of that world of being a worker bee, a vulnerable population. You are accessible to anybody and everybody. So you have to be a decision maker on many levels. So you should want to be a coach, because everybody that comes in your life, you're going to have to coach. You're going to have to coach. You're going to have to educate. You're going to have to train. That's the mentality you got to be as a worker bee. You got to coach these souls out of your life or into your life as evoking excellence. That's the number one job for worker bees that we have neglected and abused our power by not doing it. We all have to be coaches. If you're in a vulnerable population, you got to become a coach. You should be a coach. And you could be a doctor, you could be a lawyer, you could be a mother, a father. You could be whatever. But at the end of the day, grade school, the first lessons, your education system should be a coach. Because you got to evoke excellence into people. Because if you don't, they're going to violate you. They're going to use you. You are accessible to them because you're kind, because you're loving, you're gentle, you're full of joy, you're full of self-control, and they're not. So they're going to violate your space if you let them. If you allow it. Even if you don't allow it. Because there's treachery, there's cunningness, there's manipulation, there's sneakiness, there's craftiness. So, you get it on both sides of the fence. You allow it or you don't allow it. You get it both sides. So you got to stay alert and sober. So that's why you have to become a coach. You got to recruit. You got to scout. And then you have to transform. You have to adjust. You have to evolve, elevate. You have to transcend. You got to do a lot of work. And nobody's been able to help mature that in you. So you got to mature it in yourself. How many people have the strength to do that and deal with all the injustices in their societies? So it's a lot. It's a lot to ask for. But we got to get it done. Well, that's good for now. I'm going to leave that with you guys. And whether you take it or not, I respect it. Trust and believe. I walked away from many good gems. Like, you can't take them all, right? You got to pick one or two. I'm the type of person, I believe, you can't know everything. You can't do everything. But you got to pick wisely. You got to choose wisely. Your collection. Your little stash, right? Your toolbox. Be wise. I used to watch a lot of anime, a lot of comics, and I love superhero stuff. I love the process of athleticism, like how one person gets to one, location to the next through their trials and tribulations, overcoming victory, choice making, decision making, character building, virtual building. I love that stuff, especially when it goes according to the fate of the world, which is love prevails all. love conquers all. When it's opposite, it's like, that don't look right, that don't feel right, because the body knows better. It was created by the creator, so it knows more truth than the driver, apparently, that wants to be disobedient or destructive to itself when it was created by God. Their creator. I'm saying God, I mean Yahweh, right? The I am, or the life of all life, right? The reason why the driver is different from the vehicle is because the vehicle is been subjective, but the driver is objective. It was given free will, a consciousness to say, hey, I get to choose between good and evil. That was a whole contract, the whole social contract we came into this world with. Whether you believe in the story of Adam or Eve or not, look around you. You don't need the Bible. You don't need religion to tell you what the world is actually showing you. There is many people making decisions to do wicked things, destructive things. So we have a world of good and evil. When people say we are born to be good, they're lying. We're born to choose to what we are attracted to more good or evil. It's not a lot of people said we was learned behavior. Well, some of this learned behavior is detestable. It disgusts us. So you can't say that. Some of us saying, we was brainwashed. Well, at the end of the day, you still can feel sick or good. It's like this inner knowing compass, and that's what we call choice, right? Your body has this gravitation to something, and I'm not saying that you was born to be evil or you was born to be good. I'm saying that we choose it by repetition. We choose it by the pleasure of it. The story, whether you believe it or not, the tree was there, all the trees to feed off of, and they still gravitate to certain things because it's called appetite, desire, pleasure. It's not always learned behavior. It's not always instinctive. It's not always generational cycle. There's percentages of all of that. It's not always conditioning of the world or learned behavior. When you see people going to a job and they gloating, seeing people get hurt, that gloat is choice. You can't condition anybody to gloat. That is called appetite for it. That's called addiction for it. That's called craving for it. Whether you have a parasite living with you or not, that's craving for it. And it's not you. It's some other parasite living in you. It don't matter. You and that parasite together is winning for the conduct. Winning for the pleasure. So you have these equations that mathematically creates accuracy in you. So the accuracy may come out destructive, more pleasure in destruction. And how do you reconcile that? How do you reconcile that? That's called, how do you stop being self-destructive? Because if your creator created you to work with God and not against God, and you're working against God, that means you have more pleasure to work against God. So how do you reconcile such a thing like that? You have a taste to destroy God. How do you reconcile that? Because you had a choice. God gave you free will in your driving ability, not your vehicle, your house, which is your body. That doesn't have free will. We can see that. We don't need religion to tell us our bodies don't have free will. Our bodies do, one or the other. Serve God or not. And when it doesn't, it doesn't live forever. Or I shouldn't say that, because God can resurrect that body. God can rebuild that body. God can restore that body, regenerate that body. That body is on an unlimited timeline. And so when it's put on a kill chip or a limited timeline, that's not our doing, right? The only thing we have control over is our decision making. And people say, well, if I was a slave, what if I was kidnapped, if I was trafficked, if I was in prison? You're right. You cannot control what people do to you. You only can evoke excellence into people by chance that they respond to that evocation, right? That petition, that address, or whatever it may be. But you yourself have a choice on whether you gloat and have pleasure in destroying God, or the desire to destroy God. Because you that's a big attempt to try that. It's like, trying to destroy your oxygen tank, not smart. That's what we do now when we kill all the trees. Like, not smart. We, thank God we evolved a little bit to know that you kill the trees, you kill your air. That's called extinction real quick. Not endangerment, extinction, right? So we slow down a little bit because this generation is a little smarter than, a lot of generations. So we kind of slow down some of the destructiveness because we're like, that's called extinction. Nobody gets to play in the sandbox. Not even I. So we got a little bit. That may not happen in the future, but we got it right here, right now. This dimension that we slow down of killing our old growth trees, which is the strong, mature oxygen that keeps us living longer than 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years. If you got a tree that's only 10 years old, you can't expect it to be a heavyweight champion. And so we got a few old growth trees that's holding down the whole earth, and I'm very impressed by it. Now, if some idiot kills it, I don't know what to say. It is what it is. Hopefully by then we are evolved enough that we can create our own oxygen from within. Okay? But that's not here yet. So anyway, you guys, that's a little something. So, for those that are academia, hey, I see you. For those that are ministers that's trying to teach character, virtue, stop focusing on shaming people. That's all I got to say. I get tired of seeing strong leaders who have beautiful virtues and then they turn around and shame people. And it says in your own faith, come as you are. Don't worry about nothing. Just be you, do you. The rest will follow. You should practice that. Faith leaders. Please practice. Y'all my people, so I'm always on y'all. Do not slack. Do not slack. And the final group that I see all the time in my circles, those that are skeptical and always trying to challenge me. I'm not going to call y'all haters, but y'all stop being self-destructive. Go be constructive. But hey, you always can be a spectator. Just don't spill. Don't do it, because I don't have time for the pettiness. I really don't. Even though I act like I do, that's because I believe in reconciliation, but I really don't have time for it because I'm on a timeline. I'm on a time schedule with God. You guys can reconcile with me or not. That's your choice. I'm already reconciled because I believe in reconciliation. I already believe that you can reconcile. I'm not going to force it. I'm not going to make you. Don't need to be a part of it unless you want to be a part of the idea of love conquering all. Love prevails all. Yeah, you call me whatever title you want to call me. I'm not perfect. Never claimed to be perfect. But I promise you, I'm on the right side. I'm on the accurate side. I promise you that. You know why I know? I'm observant. I can see the world and their destructiveness. I can see those that's practicing elimination versus multiplication. And I know how to do math. So I'm practicing multiplication. 99% of the time, if not 95%. I'm not doing it 40, 50% unsatisfactory. Trust and believe. Some of y'all out here is deceived and ignorant and will perish much faster than a lot of others. Because y'all just got very bad, or poor quality techniques. And I just shake my head like, this is, what am I supposed to be doing? And I stay in prayer because greater is he that lives in me can do the work than the one that is just out here. Because it's not going to help. It's not. Me talking to y'all and preaching to y'all, it's just going to sound like nagging and me talking at y'all. So it's just better for me to pray and increase the vibrations for your spirit, the driver, to figure it out. The real decision maker. Because these bodies, they're vehicles. And some of us get to keep them forever and some of us won't. But those that do keep them forever, more power to you. You know what's up. You're the elected ones. Keep doing what you know you're supposed to be doing. All right now. That's enough for now. This is Coach K signing out. One love, much love, all love. Peace and blessings to you and your world and your families and your tribes. Until next time, safe journeys.